My name's Casey.
Awesome. And what are you going to be doing right now?
I'm going to set up a bob weight to balance a crank for this Hemi project. So I'm going to have to weigh the rods and pistons and calculate a bob weight, and then I'll set up the bob weights, put them on the crankshaft and spin it, and see what we got to do on the crankshaft. So right now I'm weighing, we weigh the ends of the rods individually, the connecting rods. So I'm weighing the end of this connecting rod. I'm going to go through and weigh them all. I'm going to find the lightest rod, and then I'm going to remove material to make them all weigh the same on this end. Then I'll do the same thing on this end. And I'll document the weights, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the pistons. Find the lightest piston, make them all weigh the same, and then once all the components weigh the same, I'll calculate what the weight of the rods and pistons are. I'll set up these bob weights here to the same weight as the rods and pistons. We'll put those on the crankshaft, and then I can spin the crankshaft, and it will tell me if the crank is heavy or light, and I can make adjustments to the crankshaft.
Why is it so important for everything to weigh the same?
So the engine runs smoothly for both, not only just for the engine to be smooth when it's operating, but it's a lot easier on the bearing and the engine itself to not have parts out of balance. So the engine would shake if it was out of balance. I'm adding the weight to these bob weights, again to simulate the weight of the rods and pistons. So now I've calculated how much the rod and the piston, the rings, the bearings, all those things will weigh, and I'm just making these weigh the exact same amount.
Hey everybody, this is Scott McLain. I am the producer and director of Gizmos Garage. And as this video goes on from here, I'm going to be doing a little bit of voiceover to give you an idea of some of the things that are happening. It's too difficult to do an explainer video about the different parts or whatever, and this is a time-saving measure. Casey here is an amazing technician, been working for Wheeler for many years. What Casey's doing here is he's actually simulating the weight the crank would feel if it were in the engine itself. As they figure out that weight, they can see that the crank is actually balanced. Where it's not balanced, they will actually drill holes and put plugs in there to either lessen the weight or make the weight greater in that specific area. It's kind of like balancing a tire in a way, but it's obviously very different than that. I think I even say something about that.
Like a wheel balancer for a crank.
It's very similar, yeah, actually. A little more precise.
A little more precise, sure, yeah.
This is the crankshaft balancer, and so like I said before, we've set up these bob weights to simulate the weight of the rods and pistons, rings, bearings, and such. And then we're going to put them on there. We're going to enter in all the info from the crankshaft. We're going to spin it, and it's going to tell us how balanced this crankshaft is. So the counterweights here on the crank are supposed to offset the balance of the rods, the weight of the rods and pistons, so the thing will run smooth. Sometimes we have to make adjustments to these counterweights as we change rods and piston assemblies. So that's what we're doing. We're just going to see how it comes up. We've already got a program in here for Big Block Chrysler, so we're just going to start it up here. Mark test it center.
Hopefully that all made sense. The idea is to literally replicate the weight of the rods and the pistons as if they were there, even though they're not there. And so now what he's doing is he's actually going to drill out some holes in the crank where it needs more weight or it needs less weight or whatever. You know, as the thing was turning, he would like make marks where it needs to be drilled. So that's kind of what's happening here. It's really kind of a very detailed, fascinating, very slow process, as you see. So he's making a plug here. This is actually like one of the metal plugs that he'll put into the holes that he just drilled. Chamfering it on the very edge to kind of make it a little bit rounder so it goes in smoothly.
Here's a hole I drilled. Here's a tungsten slug I'm putting in. Put that in like that, and we're going to weld on top of that to hold it in place.
So there's the plug. Now he's going to go get a welder, and he actually welds these plugs into place. And there's the counterbalance. So now the crankshaft has been, you know, they put the weights in there, and now he's going to test the balance again and make sure that it's good. And Casey's been doing this for a really long time. He's using lubricant right there to kind of like keep it nice and smooth. And as you'll find out very quickly here, it's basically perfect. So we cut right to the next segment, which is him boring out the block to fit lifters.
So for the folks at home, what are you doing?
Okay, so we've installed these lifter bushings here to correct the block and restrict the oil to the lifters. And I'm just honing them out to fit. Got these new, get one out of here. These new solid roller lifters is what we're going to be installing in the engine when we assemble. And with our new lifter bushings, they don't fit in the lifter bores. So I'm just honing them out so that we can get them in there and get the proper clearance set up.
This stuff takes hours and hours. It's a lot of work. I was there all day. So thanks. Please subscribe. And please leave some comments. We appreciate you watching.